Welcome to this introduction to the Coast Guard Auxiliary Food Service Program. My name is Frank Gonzalez. I am a Coast Guard Auxiliary Food Service cook. In the past, we were called Aux Chefs. About 11 years ago, my flotilla commander announced in a flotilla meeting that the Coast Guard in our sector was seeking auxiliarists interested in a new program that augments the Coast Guard in cooking when help is needed. The FC looked directly at me and gave me the eye. By this time, I had already proven that I could handle a grill cooking for 20 vessel examiners on a VE Blitz day. So I indicated my interest. The Auxiliary Food Service Program is a fairly new addition to auxiliary functions. In the 90s, a plane disaster occurred in the waters off New York City. While observing the rescue operations, an auxiliarist noticed that when Coast Guard rescuers returned to dry ground exhausted and hungry, they had to wait in line with other recovery units and Red Cross to eat meals to regain their energy. In particular, he thought that if the Coast Guard rescuers could shorten the length of time waiting in the food line, they could return to recovery efforts even faster. He devised a plan and proposed it to the Coast Guard authorities. This became the foundation for the Auxiliary Food Service Program. It was active on the East Coast for about 15 years before its value was recognized, and it migrated to other parts of the country, including the West Coast. Like other auxiliary functions, this program is intended to augment Coast Guard needs. Here locally in our district, that means augmenting the Coast Guard food needs at Sector LALB, at Sector San Diego, and where Coast Guard cutters are stationed in Ventura, Santa Monica, and Newport Beach. Coast Guard cutters and sectors are self-contained. That means Coast Guard personnel handle all their needs. But times arise when they are short of personnel, when people go on vacation, when they are ill, when there is a special event, or when disaster strikes like Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana several years ago. Coast Guard units from across the country were mobilized to assist in recovery operations. As a food service clerk, I was asked about my availability to help out there in food service. It turns out I was not needed, so I didn't go. The request for volunteers to help comes in the form of an email or a phone call from the DSO, who has received a request from the Coast Guard chain of command. This request is specific. What is the event or need? The date, the time, the approximate hours needed. The need might be an event at sector for a special ceremony, or a celebration like Coast Guard Day, where an estimated 800 Coast Guard family members are expected. It could be providing coverage in the sector galley for Coast Guard training weekends. It could be a sea patrol, where, for example, the cutter out of Newport Beach needs coverage for 3 meals a day for 3 days. Or it could be a mission for several weeks in the Bering Sea, or a mission for 6 months on an icebreaker in Antarctica. Our district auxiliary food service has participated in these. We work where there is a need, and often the space to work in is not ideal. On some of these slides, you may notice a lack of gloves being used while working with food. Some of these photos are dated. The use of gloves is not an option any longer. Normal workspaces on the cutters is very tight. When working the galley at sector or special event, the Coast Guard CES, whom we work under, makes the menu. If we are on the cutter, we often make the menu and submit it to the commanding officer for approval. Items cannot be pre-cooked at home and brought aboard. They must be prepared fresh. When you are in a mixed crowd of Coast Guard and auxiliaries, you can usually tell which is which. Often, Coast Guard are younger and in better physical shape. In fact, Coast Guard have weigh-ins where they cannot exceed a certain weight. When working in the galley, I have often heard them say to each other, "I can't eat that today. Next week is my weigh-in time." Hence, their food needs need to be prepared in ways that help them keep their weight within bounds. When we are providing a service, we need to keep in mind their request. Some examples of some of these requests are, on a Coast Guard day, my job was to cook hot dogs. I had several containers full of cooked hot dogs. Most of them were plump, juicy, and split, some with very dark skin, as I had been instructed to cook them. The children came around and poked at the hot dogs, but would leave without taking one. Finally, I asked one child, "What's wrong with the hot dogs?" He responded, "They're burnt." Many adults like their hot dogs with a crispy skin. I told him to come back in 5 minutes, and by then I had a bunch of pink, lightly cooked hot dogs. After that, the hot dogs disappeared. On another occasion, I was asked by the event coordinator to cook tri-tip, but they wanted it cooked well done. I suggested tri-tip is more flavorful when it is cooked medium rare. "No, we want it well done," he insisted. I bit my lip, but cooked it well done. On another event with a big crowd, I was asked by a high-ranking officer if I could make him steak tartare. That's raw ground beef or horse meat topped with a raw egg. I said I could do it, but I casually and politely added it would make the line longer for the people waiting. We then agreed that in a smaller event I could make it for him. Our cooking uniform is normally ODUs, or for formal occasions a white chef's jacket, ball cap, black trousers, black shoes. However, at times we were given permission to dress casual. We take our cue from what the Coast Guard tells us is appropriate to wear for that particular event. For the most part, any auxiliary who is interested in cooking, in hard work, and in working side by side with Coast Guard personnel can apply to the Auxiliary Food Service. Here is Angelo Skiparnius, a seasoned and well-known in our district Auxiliary Food Service cook. There are requirements to work food service. You must have 2 hepatitis A shots. You must be trained in safe food handling and in preparation techniques. The PQSs are based on demonstrations of preparing hot and cold foods, sanitizing cooking utensils, dishes, and work surfaces, recognizing how food is cross-contaminated, food temperature maintenance, and safe handling of food. The PQSs are signed off by an approved trainer. You must complete an annual online sanitation workshop, and you must work 12 hours annually on a cutter, the galley, or a Coast Guard event. To help us keep up our skills, we are often utilized at auxiliary events. Our usefulness is always in demand. When COVID is over, we expect to be activated again at Coast Guard facilities. If you have an interest in being trained for this work and in joining our team, let your FC know or contact me directly. I will put you in touch with the DSO. Thank you for your time. Is it finished?